also the Scout Oath. I have a U.S. flag on my computer screen and would invite all of you to Google an image, and we'll start out with a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Scout sign, please. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country, and to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. Thank you. Okay, excellent. Again, appreciate everybody joining in. It looks like we're up to 140 folks, and everybody is now out of the waiting room. So, and we, as you can see, we are recording the session. So if anybody's unable to attend or has to leave early, we'll have it posted on the website. So with me tonight, we have Melissa Ford is going to be assisting, and Lawrence Norman will be adding color commentary as he usually does. So thank you to Melissa and Lawrence for helping us out this evening. Let's go ahead and advance the slide, Melissa. So first off, just to cover off the importance of the exercise we're all about ready to do. And so rechartering is much more than just an administrative process. It's actually a really, important thing that we need to do to keep scouting movement going. So first of all, it's a chance to renew with the charter partner to deliver the very best scouting program we can have, that we can. It is also a chance to rekindle and renew that relationship with the charter partner. It's really important that we have accurate records. So matching what the units have with what the council has, it's extremely important in order to keep insurance coverage and liability protection available, and then making sure that our advancement records are in tune and staying current as we go along. So understand it's an administrative process. It takes a lot of time, but it is extremely important to the mission that we're delivering. So the important point to remember is recharter is the unit's responsibility, and the commissioners, we are here to support, and one of the primary duties of a commissioner is to assist and help get that recharter done timely and as efficiently and effectively as possible. So if the units would know you are the owner of the process, but we want you to pull your commissioner in and get that assistance you need. The commissioners have been through it a lot. I know a lot of the unit leaders on the line have been through it as well, but we also have a lot of newcomers. And what we're about to walk through is in this COVID-19 world, in this virtual world, there's going to be some changes this year. And so it's a really good chance for the units and the commissioners to band together and get over these obstacles, make the virtual world an opportunity for efficiency and effectiveness, but also knowing there's going to be some bumps in the road. So pull in your commissioners. They are there and willing and ready to assist. So there's a few new things we have going on this year, as you might expect. And a big thanks to Melissa Ford. She's put a lot of time and investment into thinking about how to make this process go as seamlessly as possible. So first of all, we are really encouraging, and we want to try to get as much online submissions as we can. And so we've created a virtual charter renewal packet, which you'll be walked through tonight, and it's also available online. But basically, we're looking for you wherever possible to try to do things electronically. So submitting documents electronically and actually making payments electronically. So there are some things that are built in and some things that may need to be done the old-fashioned way. We've tried to minimize the paperwork that would have to be done separately, and we'll cover some of those items later. But importantly, we've scheduled in-person district turn-in events in the past. We will not have those this year. So it'll be really important that you pull in your commissioners and get that hands-on assistance if you need it. but we won't be having the district turn-in events. It really encouraging the units to do this virtually. And there's plenty of tools out there, so plenty of things to learn and plenty of resources to go to. So I'm actually going to turn over to Melissa, and Melissa, walk through how this online submission process is going to work.
All right. So many of you in the past couple of years have used the electronic authorization, and so that won't be anything new. What we ask is that you provide a copy of the rosters that you will be submitting to your chartering organization to review and approve. And you can do that, you know, however works for them, as long as they have given you the ability to approve. And then once they've said, yes, this is good, I approve it, you can actually select that in the Recharter system, say that we agree to this Recharter, and it'll ask you who. It can either be the institutional head or the executive officer. And then when you click on the next screen, it sends them an email and alerts them that, hey, you know, they're this far, they've indicated that you approve this. So, you know, that's been done before. If your chartering organization isn't able to do that or willing to do that, then just check with your district executive, and they'll let you know. There's a plan for that, and it's but we don't think a lot of people will need it, so it's not. We're not going to go over it tonight. And then online payment, you have the option to pay online or by credit card. The credit card does have a fee of 2%. So at the amount these charters will be, that's a pretty significant dollar amount. So beware that if you are planning to do that by credit card, that you'll want to budget for that additional fee. And then we also would like for you, if you, and we'll go over this later, but if you're paying online, we would like for any new applications that you might be adding to the charter be turned in prior to the submitting of your charter. So we'll talk more about that in the next couple of slides, but you know, and why it's actually easier for you for a couple of reasons, and we'll get there in a few here. So the online packet, so what used to be that white envelope that you would get every year with all your information in it, everything that was in that packet, with the exception of a return-in envelope, because most of you won't need them, and your code, which was actually just emailed to the chartering organization representative and the committee chair for each unit just before this meeting. The rest of that stuff is all going to be on the website, the danbaird.org/rechartering. So that's your one-stop shop for all your rechartering information. So the handbook with all of the how you do different things and the dates and deadlines and things is on there. All the JTE forms for each level of scouting are available on that website. There is a PowerPoint that kind of goes through the step-by-step instructions on how to do the recharter, which we may hit at the end as well. And in the booklet for the Rechartering Handbook, if you need to get a youth protection report from My.Scouting, there's directions there. It also it's also tracked in the rechartering system. And then they're not quite up there yet because the website was down and we haven't been able to get it up or get it put together yet, but there will be instructions on being able to use online applications for those individual 1 or 2 scouts that you find missing off your roster without having, even if your unit doesn't have online applications turned on. So you can, we'll have directions on how to do that as well. And then it says the codes will be emailed, and they already were. The online process, each year when you log in, even if you've done the recharter for 10 years for your unit, you still want to click new user the first time, and you'll go through that online registration or that registration process to link yourself to your unit's charter. And then after that, you just go as a returning user. Again, we're asking to have any new youth applications that you have submitted to the council office by December 3rd, and prior to completing your online recharter. And that is for a couple of reasons. One, it saves you the data entry. We'll take care of that for you. It also will help with the accounting as far as you're collecting rechartering fees from new scouts, but you also are collecting new member fees. And so to keep those separated for you with that $25 joining fee, turning those applications in separately will also mean they're a separate transaction coming out from your units counts as well. So it should make that a little smoother for you. And again, that's where the online application process will be really handy, because somebody can go in and put the application in for their scout, and then within about 24 hours, you will have all the information, and it will show up in your recharter when you click the refresh button. So the update unit roster button is your friend. And every time you click it, and I recommend you clicking it every time. I recommend clicking it every time you log in. It will update any youth protection that's been taken. It will update any, it will update any new members that are added as well. But they are not automatic, so you do have to click it yourself manually in order to see those changes. So if somebody said, hey, I saw that, or somebody, Joe told me he did his youth protection, you can click that refresh and see if it shows up in the system. And then for offline paperwork, we are, again, wanting to get those applications in early. And there's a new worksheet for offline forms that you won't need to turn in if you don't have any offline forms. But if you do, then you'll want to download that worksheet, print it off, and fill in the information. So the forms you might be turning in is, if you do end up with applications, we hope you don't, and we're encouraging you not to, but if you have an application that you need to get turned in after December 3rd, or that gets added to your charter, you want to put that on the offline form. You will want to include any background check forms, although we are confident there will be very few of those. And then any youth protection certificates, if you had to enter someone's date manually. So if you hit that refresh button, it's just not showing up for you, and you need to enter that date manually, you'll want to provide us that certificate as well. And then if you choose to pay offline by check or cash or other means, then you can, you'll need to fill this form out as well. It's also on the note of paying offline, there is also a credit card processing fee at the council office of 2%. So keep that in mind if you would need to use a bank card of some sort. You'll want to either budget for that or make another payment arrangement, so that doesn't surprise you when you come to pay your fees at the office or when you mail them in. All right, and I think we're going to turn it back over to Joe here.
Thank you, Melissa. And so I did want to mention, we're going to have a chance for some questions here in a minute. And then at the end of this is all very high level, and I know we're going at you fast. There is a chance to stay on the Zoom call and go through a step-by-step tutorial with Melissa after we kind of go through whatever questions we can handle online. So the big goal here is a little bit over 2 months from now. So it seems like a long time, but it's going to fly by fast. But by December 11th, our goal is to get 100% of renewing units submitted online. So there's that important December 3rd timeline to keep in mind for any new joiners, and get that process first, and then finish the renewal of the charter online by December 11th. So that is not that much different from the goal we've had in the past. And every year we're getting better and better compliance. And so let's just keep the pressure on. And hopefully by using an online mechanism, we're going to keep getting closer to that 100% goal. All right, so we thought about what are some roadblocks you might run into so that you can maybe start running interference on those, sooner rather than later. So there are some folks where youth protection is going to be running out, and that could be happening anywhere from October to March. And so you'll want to make sure run the checks and see who is going to be running out and get after them sooner rather than later. So I've already checked myself. I am good for a whole nother year. So I'm clean. And I would encourage all of you to do the same. So get in and look at your expiration date, run reports. So then if there is fees that you need to collect from a cash flow perspective, make sure you get those collected in advance. Communicate what those fees are going to be and get your units and your leaders getting those fees turned over so you don't run into a cash flow issue. Roster checks are a stumbling block every year. So go through that roster check, and where you're missing things, just go after them sooner rather than later. So you're not running up to emergency come late November, early December. And then if you do have units at your charting organization and there are multiple members, just make the communication would be the key here. So just figuring out which unit is going to pay fees for any multiple members. All right, so some important things for JTE. So Journey to Excellence. So if you go to the website, danbeard.org/rechartering, you can see down in the resources section on the website, you can see the Rechartering Handbook. There is the offline submission worksheet that hopefully you won't have to use very much. But then importantly, there are the scorecards for JTE. So you can download those right off the website. We'd ask you to fill them in and definitely sit down with your commissioner and go through that. That's a perfect chance for a conversation with your commissioner. The deadline for these to be uploaded to our website would be December 31st. And if you're able to do that, we have that inducement of free rank advancement, which we rolled out in the previous year, and it was a big hit. And so we have it back again. So just to run over the requirements for free rank advancement. So we're looking for that error-free charter by December 11th. Any offline items, and again, try to keep those minimal, but if they are, by December 11th, you need to score bronze or above on JTE status and sit down with a unit commissioner, do a detailed assessment. And as part of that, you can go over that JTE result. But those are 4 easy steps in order to get that free rank advancement. And we encourage every unit to go after that. So to turn in the recharter, I think this is, pretty, we've covered a lot of this already, but hopefully submit it electronically. Your key is to go to danbeard.org/rechartering. Make sure you get that JTE form in. You only need that offline worksheet, if you have some offline items to submit, and hopefully keep those to a minimum to keep it simple. So here's the key dates. So today, obviously, we're kicking off. The codes are all distributed and the system is live. So units, you can actually go to that, click the Start Internet Recharter Now, and you should be good to go. So that's the first key date. December 3rd, if you have new joiners, new applications, those are the ones we encourage you to get those in early, so that those get submitted to the council, and then that way they can get in the database, and that will allow or facilitate easier online finishing of the process by the next key date, which is December 11th. And finally, I think December 31st would be the key date to get those JTE forms uploaded into the system. Make sure you have your detailed assessment meeting with your commissioner, and you will have earned free rank advancement. So for questions, probably the easiest way is if you can type a message in the chat. which since we have 154 folks on the line, if you have questions, and I'll invite Melissa and Lawrence to help answer questions as they go in the chat. So far, I am not seeing any questions. There we go.
Hey, Joe, I'm going to jump in. This is Travis. There are a few questions coming in that I can see. I'm sorry if you couldn't get them.
Yeah, I can't see them. Yeah,
okay,
go ahead.
Sure. So some of the questions that I'm seeing, one, will the slide deck be available? And the answer is yes. It'll be available on danbeard.org/rechartering here in a day or so. There's questions about who got the access codes to the recharter, and I believe it was sent to the committee chairs of each pack and troop, each unit, as well as the charter organization representative. So those are the two people that were sent the codes for the recharter, and it was just sent about, I don't know, right around 7 o'clock. Let's see.
I had a good question sent to me. Has JTE requirements been modified for COVID? And the answer to that is yes. So you will see on the JTE forms, there are some items in red text, and that is the modifications that have been made essentially to allow for virtual meetings and some other virtual or electronic types of things that are happening in our unit. So you should see some of those requirements there, which should make it a little easier for your unit to qualify for the JTE levels. And always make sure you check with your professionals and your commissioners too, because sometimes you might not have all the information that you need to make sure you actually do qualify, and they can help you out with that. And then one other thing that was sent, clarification, just in case it wasn't well said before. The online system, you can pay in two ways there. You can pay via electronic check, which only takes the routing number and account number of your checking account. And that is no charge to do that. There's no processing fees to do that version. Or you can pay by credit card, and there's a 3% fee to do that online. If you choose the pay direct to council option, then you can obviously write a paper check at no charge. You can also pay with a credit card at the council office, but there is a 2% fee there. So if your unit does not have a checking account, or I should say does not have checks, you should all have a checking account, but if your unit does not have checks, then you'll want to plan accordingly for that and try the electronic check version, or get a check from the bank so that you don't have to pay those fees. And then also, yes, you can use your unit accounts to pay. Just make sure that there is enough money in that account if you are going to go that route. All right, so I think we're not seeing a lot more. Oh, there's a question.
I do have quite a few questions that have been coming to me. I will do my best to answer those as we go. But several of them, I'll either try to connect you with your commissioner, your district commissioner, or with your district executives. They'll be able to help. But I'll do my best to try to monitor these. I've got a lot of questions coming in.
Yeah, and maybe Travis, the idea is if we maybe move to the step-by-step tutorial, anybody who's experienced and feels like they've got a handle.
And I'll tell you, Travis, you are.
Yeah, so if anybody wanted to, this is the high-level information we wanted to get out to everybody. And then we were going to save the very end for a step-by-step tutorial, and I would bet that will answer a lot of questions you may have, Travis.
Right.
But yeah.
And Travis, I noticed that in the chat, you're marked as private, so that's why they're just coming to you instead of going to the general group. So if you look in the message center, it says Travis McCormick privately. So that's why they're coming just to you and the rest of us aren't seeing them.
So I have a question here that I think is a good general question before we go into that step-by-step process related to online applications. When we refer to the online application, we are talking about either the vscout.org or you can actually get to that link through your my.scouting account and send that out to individual people. So even if you don't have your my.scouting.org pin turned on, you are able to allow an individual to use your online application. So you kind of have a little more control over it that way. Along with that, there was also a question about transferring. And right now, the best way to transfer scouts, say Webelos into a troop or scouts between troops, is still through that paper application. You cannot actually use the electronic application or the online application to do transfers at this time. So you will want to try to get those into the council office. And again, you'll want to get those in early as well. There's no cost to transfer them over. So just getting them to our office means that, one, you don't have to do that data entry, and two, that scout will show up immediately in your scout book, where if you put them on your charter, they won't show up right away and they won't be able to work on advancement. The other question was about the $25 new member fee. So that fee went into effect in August. So anyone who is new to scouting does pay a $25 new member fee. If the person that you're putting into your unit is already a part of scouting, so if it's a Webelo moving to a troop, a scout moving to a venturing crew, whatever the change is, if they are currently registered as a scout, then they won't pay that $25 fee to change to your unit. But if they are brand new to scouting, there is a $25 joining fee. All right, where there'll be instructions provided on how to submit JTE forms. That is a great question. When you go to danbaird.org/rechartering, there is a link there that will go live November 1st, and it will, I believe, just be a button you click, and it will give you step-by-step instructions, and you'll be able to upload either a PDF or a JPEG of your JTE form. You will want to make sure that those forms are signed by your commissioner, though, prior to uploading. The $25 fee, another great question. The $25 fee is only for youth. There is not a $25 fee for adults. All right, Travis, do you have any more questions that have come to you that we need to hit before we do the step-by-step tutorial?
I'm gonna try to keep up with these. I think we hit most of the most common questions.
Okay, great. So we'll go into the step-by-step tutorial. You'll need to give me a second here because I have to open that PowerPoint up. And then we'll walk through it as well. And we also, if we can get the site to work, I'll be happy to walk through how to do the links for the online application, so where you can find those. Now, the key for that will be that only the key 3 of the unit automatically has access to that, but they can allow access for others if needed. So you want to keep that in mind, that not everyone is going to automatically have access to that option, but you can get your unit leaders to open it up for you. All right, so we're gonna view this here. We'll share this new PowerPoint. All right, so this is from the next of the rechartering process. So this is the login screen. As we talked about the first time, no matter what, you're gonna go with register and put in your rechartering code and your 4-digit unit number. Then you will you'll have this confidentiality agreement come up. So it wants you to understand that the information that you're going to see there is private and you shouldn't share it with everyone. It's also not to be emailed. So you'll need to agree to that. And then you'll put in your contact information as well as creating a password. Make sure to write that password down in a safe place so you don't lose it. Although if you do lose it, we do have the ability at our office to reset that password for you. Then the next stage, you'll get to the stage 1 load roster, click begin, and it will ask you, do you want to load council information or upload recharter information? You always want to hit load council information for a couple of reasons. The most being that you want to see what the council has. So when you're doing your membership inventory, if there's a scout that's in your system that's not in the council's, you're able to get them added. And then the next one you'll go through several different steps of updating your roster. So this is where it's going to give you, if your chartering organization, say the address has changed and they've moved buildings, if they are changing their phone number, something like that, you can update that here. You cannot change your chartering organization here. If that is something you need to do, you will need to speak with your district professional. The next step, it's going to show you all the different adults and kids, and you'll just check who's staying and who's going. And that's all you're checking at this point, just who's going to stay and who's going to go. The position changing will happen in a later step. Then you will continue to walk through who all those people are and select. This tells you who that you did select. So if you missed somebody, you can go backwards. If you find that somebody is missing, you can go backwards. Also know that you can go back and forth with this and add and change it around. It will save your progress, and you can log out and then go back to where you were working, and the checkboxes will still be there. It won't just change and add them all back or anything if you log out. So don't worry about, even if you get disconnected, you won't lose a significant portion of your work typically. So this is a sample of what the draft version looks like. So this, I would recommend when you first log in to leave that checkbox checked for every person and go to the step where you can get the roster, the renew and print roster that is here. And I'm not sure if you guys can see where I'm pointing. In the upper right-hand corner there, it says roster review. And when you pull up when you click that button, and this is the roster, this is the first page that comes up. And then the next several pages will be everyone that's currently on your roster. So it's a great resource to start with to see who needs to go and who's staying, who's going. It's also a great way to create a checklist of who you need to collect fees from, etc. So I would highly recommend printing that off to use to do your membership inventory. Then the next thing you will do after checking these boxes, once you have your membership inventory completed, is you're going to hit this refresh button. So if you find that you're missing some people, or that some people are missing their youth protection, you're going to work offline to get that taken care of. So you're either going to ask a parent to fill out an online application, or you're going to get a paper application and submit that to the council office. And then you're going to be able to go back in here, log in at another time, and hit this update unit roster button. And it is important to note that it will not automatically update. So if somebody took their youth protection yesterday, you're not going to see it if you logged in the day before unless you hit this button. So I would recommend every time you log in, just make a habit of hitting that button, because you never know what's happened that you aren't aware of that could change your recharter process or your recharter roster. Then if you do end up at the last minute needing to update and add a person, this is the process to do it. So you'll just take the information off the application and enter it. Again, we're highly recommending that you and requesting that you do that through the council office early on, because it does make sure they get added to your roster and can start working on advancement right away. It also, for adults, will make sure that those background checks are happening now instead of when your charter gets processed, which could be several weeks. So we want to make sure that those background checks are happening and making sure our youth are safe. So here is a screen. There's been some updates to this if you've done the charter before. So now, in addition to it showing the information about the adult, their name, their position, whether or not they have boys life, whether or not their youth protection training is up to date and what the date was they last took it. It also tells you whether or not we have that CBC authorization form on file. I'm going to say that in our council, we have nearly everyone. So it will be very rare for you to see a no on this page, but you do want to check that. And if you do find a no, you'll want to get that form completed and have that and submit that with your offline charter form. And what we will, that form is actually not currently on the Recharter website, but we will make sure we get it up there for you shortly, just in case someone does need that. And as you can see here at the bottom, it tells you this information. If you go in to change an adult's position or their address, it does tell you what date that form was filed and when it was entered in the system. So that's a really great add to this, so we can make sure we have all those forms correct and easy for you to reference. Now this screen is where if you're changing the person, a person's position, if someone is changing from a den leader to the cub master, you click the update button and then it'll give you the opportunity to change their position. Keep in mind that only the chartering organization representative can hold more than one position, and that other, the charter organization representative can hold another position either as the committee chair or the committee member. They cannot be a cub master, den leader, scout master, those types of things. The executive officer can also hold another position, and so that could either be the chartering organization representative, or they can hold a unit, a youth, a program position, we'll call it. However, that does require an application if they are to be one of those other positions. As the executive officer itself, they don't need that. Then on the right-hand side here, you'll see it tells you what positions you need and how many of them and how many you currently have. So this example unit has all the ones they need, and they need 2 committee members, but they have 7. So they have extra amount of active adults, which is excellent. And there are many units that will have that. But that's another place to check and easily go, and something you want to do as an inventory. You know, if you know which adults aren't coming, uncheck it and then go to this screen and see what positions you need to get filled. And that's something you can do here shortly to make sure you have enough time to get that taken care of. Now, this step is where the system does some work for you, and it checks to make sure that everyone has youth protection. It'll verify it again. It doesn't recheck with ScoutNet, so you still have to hit that refresh button if you need to do that. But it will check, make sure that you've got all the positions you need. Everyone is the right age for what they're doing. You might have accidentally forgotten to take a 19-year-old or an 18-year-old that turned 18 3 months ago and turned them into an adult, or you might have a Weebelo that is 12 and didn't cross over to the troop, and that will tell you, alert you to those things, and you can make the changes to get that changed up, and it'll tell you exactly what you need to do to change, and it'll even provide links, as you see here, to make those changes. Then once you've completed that, you can revalidate that same section. If you need to add someone else or make an update to them, this is where you can change an address and a phone number. That is really important, and email addresses. So if you have a person in your unit that you know has moved and they have a new address, take the time here to make that update, because that means that they're not getting communication such as their Boys Life magazine or any kind of communication that the council might be sending to them via US mail if we have the wrong address for them. So take the time here in this update member section to make those changes if you know of them. Now this is valid. The changes got updated, and so you'll see this screen, and then it takes you to the next step, which is the summary. So now you're going to be able to see one more time. Well, you'll be able to see the fees and all of that. Now this is another update that's been made. It's a lot easier now to add Boys Life or a multiple registration. It is extremely important to look at those multiple registrations. So every organization that has more than one unit shares a charter rep. So you want to make sure that only one unit is paying for that charter rep. The reason for that is because we are only allowed to take the payment for one. And so if you don't figure that out and find out their primary, then what happens is whichever unit goes through our registrar first is the one that gets the paid registration, and then the other unit has to wait patiently for a refund for those fees they've paid. So I know I don't like to have money spent that I don't need to spend, and I'm sure your unit doesn't either. So anyone that's multiple, whether it be an assistant scoutmaster that's also a den leader, or committee members across units, make sure you're having that conversation to see where it is they're going to pay. But also make sure that somebody does pay for them, because that also happens occasionally. So work through that with those people, and then you just check the boxes here, and it'll ask you what unit they are paying with, and then you'll tell it that, and it will reduce your fees that you need to pay by their registration fee. It's verifying Boys Life here. So if you are a unit that likes to be 100%, it will make sure you know, or it will double check for you that every address in your unit is receiving Boys Life. So you can use this to verify that and make sure that you didn't miss a family. Now this is the screen we talked about earlier where you need to present that roster. So again, you can go back to that same spot now that you've selected all your adults, selected all your youth, you're sure that your roster is who needs to be renewed. Go back and pull up that same roster that we did at the beginning, print it off again, and share it with your chartering organization. If they say it's okay to approve it, then you can mark that on here. Or if they would prefer to actually sign the form, you can mark the "we do not agree." And then you'll need to work with your district executive to make sure that you get that turned in the right way, because that means you won't be turning that in online. But make sure you've reviewed that with your chartering organization. Here's the payment screen. So you can see the credit card has the 3% fee, pay direct to council has no fee, and electronic check has no fee. So selecting one of those methods. If you are attaching applications to your charter because you did not get them turned in by that December date or December 3rd date, we would prefer that you would pay your fees through directly to the council. And that's because of those joining fees getting mixed in with Recharter. We want to make sure that we have those joining fees connected with the new units, the new youth. So then you'll see when you get, you've done paying, you'll see a confirmation to make sure that it did actually go through. If you pay online, if you're going to pay direct to council, then it'll just tell you that you need to send the fees to the council, and on your report, it will tell you the total. Here's how you put in an e-check. If you are using your unit account, checking this box does not tell us that. So you please make sure if you're using your unit account that you note that in another way. And I would say the best way to do that would to be actually email your unit leader, your professional, email your professional and let them know you would like to charge your charter to your unit account, and then you can still submit everything online. And if you don't have any additional forms, you won't need to complete any paperwork. Then once you're done with that, you do have to submit to council. So we have a lot of units who complete the the submit to council button. We have a lot of units who get through the process. They've selected all their members. They have entered all their payment information for their card or for their check. And then when they don't click this button, and then the okay, because it tells you that you're not going to be able to make any more changes after that. And it doesn't go through. So that's going to be very important this year, with this being a online year and not having a turn-in event. You won't have anyone there to look it over and remind you that you have not actually hit that button yet. So please make sure to hit that button. Then this gives you an opportunity to give some feedback on the internet rechartering process. So you can fill out this survey. And then this will be the screen where you print the information. So this year, you will be able to print the renewal EZ form, which is only 2 pages, and it'll give you a summary of what your fees are and any offline paperwork you might need to submit. So you'll want to print that EZ form, and then you'll include that with your offline paperwork and your offline paperwork form, which we can show you here in a minute. So here is a sample of a completed one. As you can see, this does have payment information. It also does not have the word draft written on it in red. That's how you know for sure that this is the form that you would need to turn in if you are turning in any offline paperwork. All right, so that is a very fast tutorial. That PowerPoint is available on the council website, on the Rechartering website. So if you'd like to go back and review it, if you have any questions, I would certainly encourage you to reach out to your professional or your commissioners. And you can find out who your commissioner is also through your professional, through your district website. Your district newsletter should also list your professional and your contact information, or your commissioner and their contact information. I just got a question about fees. The fees this year are $66 for a renewing youth. They are $66 plus $25 for a new youth. They are $42 for an adult. They are, and then that's just the national registration fees for the individuals. There is also a $5.50 local insurance fee that the rechartering system will calculate for you. So it'll be included in that total that you get at the end. And then there is a $75 charter fee, which is the liability insurance for your unit. So those are the fees that are going to be assessed on your recharter, as well as the Boys Life, which has not changed, and that is still $12 for an annual subscription. So I'm going to see if I have any other questions.
So I did post in the chat the link. There's a blue button on the website, or in the link in the chat here, you can go right to that 40-page step-by-step that Melissa built for us.
All right, and then I've seen some notes that there might be some units may not have received their code. I did have some emails bounce back. So the email address that was in the ScoutNet system may not have been correct. So if you have not received your code, again, I would reach out to your professional, or you can shoot me an email and let me know the unit and district, and I can send that code to you as well. All right, any other questions? If we would like to see I'm going to try to see if we can get that link to work, how to find the link for the online application. So if you'd like to see that, I will share that here in 1 second after I get logged in. If it's going to go, the website has been down today, so I'm not sure if it will go. Here's a great question. How do you change the executive officer? You are able to add a person in. You don't need an application, but in that section where it says add new member, you can add a person and put their position as executive officer. I would not, or you should not change the name of the existing person. So you do want to add a person and then just remove the existing person. All right, with that, I am actually going to hand it back over to Joe and let him give any closing comments.
Yeah, excellent. So first of all, a big round of applause for Melissa, because that's a huge investment. And, you know, we find ourselves in this world and we have really no choice other than do this virtually. So I would challenge all of us to do it with a positive attitude. And I think we're going to find this is going to be an investment for the future, where it's going to save us a lot of time and effort. So since we don't have a choice, let's make the most out of it. And with that, wish you all continued safety and wellness, and appreciate everything everybody's doing for the movement. And let's just keep this going, because it's the right thing for our youth. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Joe, and good night, everyone.